Hi there, this is MC Yoda, and welcome back to the game Foundation and our little town of Emerald Pointe. Today I want to look at the day in the life of a villager. I'm going to take a few different villagers of different professions, some where their job doesn't really take them very far, maybe some that their job does take them far, like a woodcutter or a warehouse clerk. And I just want to kind of see, what do they do? I want to understand how they move around the town, in what order they do things, how often do they take breaks from work, and whenever they take those breaks, what all are they doing? Are they doing multiple things within one break, like getting food and water and church at the same time? Are they going home to rest? Or are they doing one break and then going back to work and then doing another break and going back to work? I think understanding that will help me to understand, for the efficiency of our town, where these break stations need to be, right? We have the center of town where they often take breaks. We have their homes. We have their food tents, their water well, their church. I have them all over here by the residential, assuming that they'll take a break from work and do all of these things at once. But I don't know that that's actually true. That's just an assumption. So I think I'm going to handle this a little bit differently than normal. I think what I'm going to do, say for example, let's take a look at, here we go. Herv question marker. So what we can do is we can follow Herv question marker. And we can see now that she is fishing. And of course, we see here that her current activity is fishing, but of course she's going out on the boat to the fish. She's going back to her shed here to drop the fish off. But we'll be able to see there, whenever she goes to take a break or anything else. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of time-lapse this. I'm going to watch this in real time. I'm probably going to be here for quite a while today. But for you, I think it's going to go by a lot quicker. And then we're going to see at the end exactly how much time they spend doing things outside of their job and in what order they do them. So, all right, this is pretty exciting. So let's go ahead and get started with Herv question marker. Right now, she is fishing. Okay, well that was interesting. So I think I figured out the cycle for the fisher here, and it looks to me like they do their work, or at least she was her question marker. She would do her fishing, and then she would take a break, and she would do several things on her first break, which was first she would come over here, and she was actually, now this might be a coincidence, or this might be legit, but she would take care of both of her additional needs. She would come over here and get fish. She would get meat, her refined food, and then she would get service, and then she would go rest at her house, and then she would go spend free time at her house. After that break, then she would go head back to work and then go fishing for a while. And then after fishing for some time, she'd take another break and she'd come over here and get water, and then fish at the fish stall, and then she would just go on free time at her house. Now, she didn't say resting at house, she said just free time at house, which is these essential needs: water, rustic food, and then resting, or free time, and then go back to work. And then it seemed like she would repeat that cycle. So that is interesting. So I think my theory here about keeping these things in one place is actually working, because it looks like they don't come and do all of these at once, but they do a couple of them at a time, like meat and service and home, or water and fish and home. during their work breaks. So that was actually very informative. So while I was doing this, I noticed that our wool seems to be being used up a little bit quicker. So I think I want to get a second shepherd over here into the field. So we had taken a shepherd out of here because our wool production was getting a little too high. And I do notice that we do have one open slot in the house. So we're going to go ahead and, well, the next time we get some immigrants here, we're going to bring a shepherd in. And let's see what this merchant has to say. All right, the elders would like you to host a regional fair. Okay, so this is for 21 days if we can keep our happiness above 75%, which we are at a consistent 100% now. Success is trade bonuses, happy bonuses, and 10 of these, and we've noticed here that these will go away if we don't use them. So let me see can I look at this first. Okay, I can't spend those on anything right now unless we double our labor splendor to start unlocking these things. We can't actually use the 10 labor influence, but we will get trade bonuses and happy bonuses. So I say let's go ahead and do it. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do a fair. Like I said, I want to bring another shepherd on board. So let's see, do we have immigrants coming in? I know there were immigrants hanging around quite a while we were watching Herv question marker do her thing. There's one coming. Okay, so we'll catch that immigrant and put them in the shepherd's field. Now, as far as the time that she spent doing all of those different jobs, I wasn't really tracking that. That's something that if I really wanted to, I could track that like down to the second on the recording, which I might do after the fact. But I'm not going to worry about the times. I was more just looking for the cycle to see, like, in other words, if they would just go get water then go back to work, I would put more wells out by their workplaces and so forth. But it did seem like every time they took a break to do any of these, they did go rest at home afterwards. So keeping these by home does seem like the smart move. How far away is our shepherd? Not very far. We'll get that shepherd in, and then we'll take a look at another townsfolk and see what they do. So, who do we want to do next? Maybe we can do someone whose job takes them around town a little bit more, like either a warehouse person or a lumberjack or a hunter. That'll be interesting. All right, who wants to be our shepherd? We have a gentleman and a lady. Who do we have in the shepherd jobs right now? We have a gentleman, so let's bring a lady on board and kind of even that out a little bit. There we go. And you are a shepherd. Congratulations, you got a new job. Welcome to Emerald Pointe. Okay, let's watch a lumberjack, a woodcutter. We'll watch this one right here. Who are you? Bajur question mark. No, let's go with someone who actually has a name. Birched? That's a weird name. How about you? Ardita. We're going to watch Ardita. All right, Ardita's gathering wood, and we will go ahead and start her cycle now. All right, well, that's an interesting one. So Ardita's cycles are a little bit different. I'm actually going to pause time for a moment. So, as you might have noticed, our fair ended, and we got our extra 10 labor influence. But our cap, as you can see here, the labor influence cap is 35, which means we'll slowly lose that 10 until it gets back down to 35. So I would like to try to spend them. And I can only spend them, like, see, this costs 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. So basically all of these cost 20. So if I want to use that 10 Splendor we just got, I need to buy one of these, which means I need to get our Labor Splendor. I'm sorry, that's Influence. I want to get our Labor Splendor up to 75 because our Prosperity is already 50. So we can go ahead and increase our Labor Splendor by putting out some decorations and stuff. And I want to do that right now with the time pause so that we don't lose those points. But real quick, let me just talk real quick about Ardita's cycle. So this was interesting. So she would work for a while, and then she would take a break and literally do everything. She would get fish, she'd rest at home, she'd get water, meat, service, and then do her free time. So she would get all of her stuff at once and then go back to work. And then she would take another break, and on that break she would just go get fish and then free time. And the next break she would start over again. Fish, free time. Fish, rest, water, meat, service, free time. So that was interesting where she's actually getting fish on both of her breaks. But one break she does everything, all of her needs. And the other break, she only gets fish and free time. So that was an interesting cycle. So it is interesting that these villagers do behave differently than each other. They're not all exactly the same. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if we can go ahead and increase our Labor Splendor. Almost, like, pretty much double it. Because we got money to burn here. And, yeah, so let's, how do we want to do this? How do we want to do this? We can start adding more decorations that are attached to the manor house. That should give us Labor Splendor, right? Yes. So let's edit this, and we'll go to estate decorations. Okay, let's go to monument decorations. Common decorations. Here we go. These are the things that just cost money. So all of these are 1 labor point each. As we discovered, if you do, when you're doing it at the Great Hall, each Splendor value is 1.5 Labor Splendor. So if we're doing the Great Hall, we do less. So let's go ahead and just get lots of I mean, we could just start spamming something. We can get kind of silly with it. Let's see. Let's stick with the things that cost 5 gold each. See, like, technically we could take a rose bush and we could literally just build like a ton of them right in one spot. Right? So you could literally just go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's like 15 Splendor. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we're up to, it says plus 31 Splendor. So that would put us at 65. So we need like 10 more. 3, 4, 5. Okay, I think that gets us there. So that's going to cost us 140 gold. And that puts our Splendor at 74. Okay, we need to do one more. That feels cheesy, but you know, it's okay. It gets us where we need to be. Let's go ahead and put one little gumdrop bush right here by these little benches. There we go. Labor tier 3 reached. Awesome. So now we can actually spend some of these before we lose them. So let's go ahead and spend it on... Well, no, we're not ready to build any of these things. let's go ahead and spend it on this labor 3, this tier 3 labor privilege, and we might see if we could actually get something out of that. Okay. Perfect. Okay, great. So now we're below our cap, so we're... Oh, our cap is now 50. Oh, well, there you go. But at least now we won't lose it. We won't lose that 10 that we just gained. All right, let's see what that... Well, let's see what we just bought. That was one of these things here. That was this privilege. So the privilege that we have is the 10% trade bonus. So we can get... We could reduce our labor building upkeep cost. That might be pretty good. Newcomers ignore happiness. You have one more concurring tax. Tax people are happier. Every time you trade with a labor allegiance, you gain an influence with its estate. Huh. So this one gains us influence. This reduces our upkeep. Let's do that. All right. So that was... Oh, that actually gained us something. So that's really nice. That wasn't just a complete... I feel like... Okay, we actually gained something out of that. That wasn't just a way to cheese out getting to the next level. Excellent. All right. Well, let's see. Let's take a look. I want to see something with a... So those were... We first did our some of our basic jobs, right? We did the fisher and a woodcutter. Let's go to a slightly more advanced job. Let's take a look at the patrollers. So, one thing that's interesting, you have patrollers where there's multiples that work in one place, and then you have patroller where he's working alone. I believe this one kind of does his own thing, but these two, they'll actually wait until they're both ready before they do their actual patrol, because they patrol together. And I'm wondering if that's different than a patroller who's by themselves. But just for the sake of our experiment, let's go ahead and take a look at this patroller. So right now, so this is Franchino, and Franchino is patrolling. Okay. So let's go ahead and see a day in the life of Franchino the patroller. Okay, well that concludes Franchino. I was going to say Francisco. Franchino's day. So his cycle was again a little bit different. So I'm wondering if each individual person has a different cycle, or if different jobs have a different cycle. I do want to see what this merchant that's coming has to say. Merchant is right here behind that group of immigrants. Oh wow, our warehouse is full. We probably... Okay, there's a few things I want to take care of that I observed during this, but let's first see what this merchant has to say. So while we're waiting for the merchant, so it's interesting. So the patroller, he would take 2 breaks. One break he would go to service and then rest and then do free time and then go back to work. The other one he would get water, then fish, then meat, then free time, then go back to work. So it's interesting how... Let's see. Well, let's see. It was with merchant. Wood for the bishop. Oh. This is the one where we're going to get stuff we can't spend, right? 150 gold. 5 of these, which we can't spend. All of that to No, we're not going to do this one. Maybe next time. That didn't go so well for us last time. Yeah, so what I'm noticing is that it seems like the workers, they work, then they take a break. And during that break, they take care of one or more, usually more than one, of their needs, right? So their needs can be 5 things. Water, fish in this case, resting at home, which is different from free time. The resting just takes a moment. The meat or refined food, and service. Those 5 things. But then they always conclude their break with free time, at which they spend most of it at home. Sometimes they'll sit on a bench for a moment and then go home. And then at home they'll kind of, sweep their dirt for a little while, and then go in and out of their house a few times. And then they'll go back to work. So, but then they take they have 2 different breaks where they have a different set of things that they do during each of their 2 breaks. And again, the 3 individuals we just watched do 3 different things. And I don't know if it's per individual or per job. Like, if we were to watch a second fisherman, would he be the same as Herv question marker? Or will the other fishermen have their own set of things? I don't know. Now, there's a couple things I noticed that I wanted to address real quick here. So, first of all, every time someone goes to church, they just say... it says, going to service at. Right? So if we look at this person, it says attending service at blank. Okay? Then it goes free time in that case. So can we name our church? Let's see. Rename. It's called Rustic Church. So let's see if we give it a name. Let's see. What's an appropriate name for our church? We'll say... Church of Humble Saint Oda. There we go. Not Sant, Saint. Okay, there we go. Oh my gosh, I can't even type. There we go. The church of Humble Saint Oda. So let's see if, when people go to church, if they actually have something like this person. Oh, still just says attending service at. Oh, bummer. We'll see if the game picks up on that name and starts using that. The other thing I noticed is everyone's using this person's front yard as like a thoroughfare. Kind of the same here. I don't like that. These poor folks. Now I do notice. Okay, so if we were to highlight that house and say we were to let's see, view this? You can't really see it. Usually there's for example, if we're building around here, let's see if we can build something. I don't want to build it, I just want to show you what I'm trying to point out here. Let's just say we were trying to build. So you can see those blue lines around that fence? That's kind of indicating their property, like the structures of their property. Okay. Now those structures are within the green, but a ways inside the green. Like we could shrink that up. I think I showed you that last time where I shrunk up this person's property. But the point here though is when the patroller comes to this house, he kind of comes up to about here and then turns around. So the patroller needs to look at this house. So what I'm thinking I want to do is I want to put up some fences. I want to just block off this path so that the only one using this is the people who live here, and that these people will start maybe going around this way. So let's go ahead and try to build a small fence here. So this should hopefully be, this is more like a decoration, right? Yeah, just a small fence. Just a little something to stop this this travel. I just wanted to deter people from walking here. So let's just put a little fence that goes like this. So let's just do this. Let's just put a fence. I'm just going to put a fence there. I'm just going to build that and just see if Is that going to be enough to deter people? Let's edit this. Let's move that further this way. And we'll kind of put this kind of here. There we go. Okay, just to deter people from doing that, so maybe they'll stop using their front yard. And I'd like to do a similar thing here, which would be to build a little bit of a fence here to deter people from using this person's yard. Okay? We just don't want their properties to be a thoroughfare, that's all. Now, they might now start going through someone else's yard. Like, hopefully people will go this way and not, like, through their yard. And if they start going through their yard, then we'll have to put a fence here. Okay? The other thing I wanted to address is the name of the church, the fence. Oh, the wool. We seem to really not be able to keep up with wool, so our cloth production is going insane. So last episode, we put in a second weaver's hut with 2 weavers in it. You know, maybe we can just get rid of one of those weavers, because the 2 okay. So we had 2 weavers, and they were not able to keep up with the wool production. So then we added 2 more, and now they are outpacing the wool production. So I think what I want to do is maybe we'll get rid of this weaver. So maybe the weavers will just chill out a little bit and let that wool production keep up a little bit. But I'm wondering if we can add someone to the sheep farm. Can we actually? No. Is there like an upgrade to the sheep farm? You know, like you can upgrade normal farms with extra buildings and stuff. Is there an upgrade to the sheep farm? It doesn't look like it. No, I think you would have to just get a second farm. Well, bummer. I was hoping there was a way to add more workers to this one sheep farm. Well, we'll just see if getting that one weaver out of there will make a difference. Now, can we put that weaver to work anywhere else? I'll tell you what, that weaver can temporarily work in a warehouse. And we will... Oh my gosh. We'll just put that weaver to work here. And we'll know that if we need that person for anything, we've got them waiting in the wings. Let's see. And with that, all I wanted to... Oh, the other thing, okay. So when this patroller... So we were watching this single patroller, right? This guy. So whenever he would go to work... Okay, so if you remember whenever we were watching, say, the Fisher. When the Fisher was working, she'd come out on the boat, then she'd bring a load of fish in, then go out on the boat, fish in, out of the boat. She'd do that several times during her work day, right? The woodcutters, they'd go out to gather wood, come back. Go out to gather wood, come back. Go out and come back. They'd do that several times. So the patroller was doing the same thing. He'd go out and patrol, then he'd come back to his building. Then he'd go out and patrol and come back to his building. But every time he came back to this building, he would very, very briefly, for the smallest amount of time, it was almost imperceptible, it would flip from patrolling to waiting for other patrollers. Now, I think that's what I saw over here when we were looking at these guys. So right now, these two patrol together. Okay? They're both patrolling. Now, whenever they go back to the building, they are waiting for other patrollers before they go out to patrol again. And I'm thinking that unless they're taking all of their breaks at the exact same time, there could be a moment where a patroller comes to work and they're just waiting for the other patroller to get to work before they go out and start doing their job. So I'm wondering if that means that there's less efficiency having more patrollers in one building. Right? So say, for example, this guy's break cycle is 1 or 2 needs plus free time, but this guy's cycle is 4 or 5 needs plus free time. he's going to be ready for work, but while he's still on free time. And then he's going to be sitting in his building waiting for the other guy before he goes out and starts patrolling houses. That's an interesting thing that I think I'd like to look into a little bit more. So, you know, quote, in conclusion, I wonder if these single patroller buildings are going to work more efficiently than the multiple patroller buildings. Something to think about, something to look into in the future. Okay, those are the only things I noticed I wanted to address. We'll see if that change with the Weaver helps at all with. Oh, the other thing is our meat really is just not keeping up with the boars. Hey, maybe that's a job we can do for that other Weaver. So I think we need another butcher because we're slowly our average meat that we have on hand is going down. It was like around 70, 80 when we started. The boars were 100 and something. Now they're 200. So I think we might need to have another butcher shop, except maybe we'll just put that one single weaver in the new butcher shop and only increase production by 50% instead of doubling it. So let's do that. Let's do that real quick. Let's build another butcher shop. Okay, doesn't cost too much. We'll just stick it here behind the other butcher shop. Or we could actually put this one over here behind the actual hunters. Nah, we'll do it here. We'll do it here. Let's turn it this way so it's got a way in this way and a way in this way. Okay. Alright, let's get that butcher shop built. And we'll get, where'd we put her? We're going to dismiss you from that workplace, so you're going to become a butcher. And while we're waiting for that to build, we need to expand. We finally need to expand this workplace here. So let's get a workplace extension onto this, and that is exactly what this space was waiting for. And let's go ahead and just do that here. Okay. And this one is still like maxed out on stone, and I know that, but I don't know. Can we actually do a... Oh, we can actually put a third. Like a second extra, a third. Let's do that. Okay. I've only ever put one extension on a warehouse, not two. Okay, so just addressing some issues that I noticed while we were watching our villagers do their thing. It's funny, I almost feel like this one forester is actually repopulating even faster than 6 woodcutters can chop. Now the woodcutters do have a thing where if we wanted to, we could get more workers in each lumber camp, kind of like we got the extra workers here in the stonemason's hut. That's another thing I might do next time I'm looking at hiring people. I might get more stonemasons because we're making good money off of that polished stone, and then eventually we're going to need some of that for our own build projects. So I don't want all of that to... let's make sure that this is the highest priority. I want to make sure we have we're producing plenty of the polished stone is basically what I was getting at there. Oh, you know what? Some of this is probably taking time again because the builders have to go all the way over here to get tools. I should probably be storing tools. I should probably be storing tools there and here. Yeah, I really probably should have tools closer up here. Well, whenever this one gets its extra one, we'll put one of them back to tools. And then maybe they'll keep the tools kind of evenly distributed between this warehouse. Oh, look at this, coal is full. The coal production is now way faster than everything else. Oh my gosh, the balance here is just really weird and hard to figure out. let's at least go ahead and add some storage to this one. It's not going to add any workers or anything, but it will just give us some more places to store that extra coal. Okay, the butcher shop is building. Let's watch that get built. Who's building that? Aylin. Building butchery. Almost done. That's awesome. All right, let's go ahead and get one butcher in there. That is our former weaver and very brief warehouse worker. Let's see. These I can redistribute their things once they're built. That's no big rush on that. Now, we could also think about increasing our treasury size. So we're getting pretty close to hitting that max every now and then. So I'm wondering if we want to do a quick edit on this. So like if we that adds 60. That adds 120. That's not a very big cost to be able to hold an extra 120 coins. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's upgrade that. Oh my gosh, it's temporarily 500. What's going to happen is our... Hopefully we don't lose that. Hopefully we don't lose that money. We better not lose that money while our building is upgrading. Let's make sure we make that the most important thing. That's interesting how the capacity is temporarily down while that thing is being built. Or upgraded. Okay, we're not losing that money, so I'm curious how long... Well, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to worry about it. If it didn't go away immediately, it probably isn't going to go away. All right, I think as far as our town is concerned, are we a town? We're a town, right? We are a town. Yeah, town. The town of Emerald Pointe. As far as our town, things are going pretty smooth. Hopefully this new butcher will help up the meat production. Our treasury is full, yeah. Oh, because it's full, this money that they're purchasing isn't going anywhere. You know, whatever, it's temporary. The upgrade will occur soon enough. It's fine, it's fine. Okay, let's get some tools in this thing, and then we're gonna put some more stone, and we'll leave an empty slot for whatever it needs to be later. And then this one over here, we're going to do wood, and we'll do planks. Okay. And then this one over here is not... What's going on over here? Oh, see these charcoals? They're full of charcoal. Or coal. Again, they're making charcoal, but it's called coal, which is just weird. Alright, how about this treasury? Bringing the tools. Yeah, I know, the tools they take a while to get. We also only have one. We only have one builder station. We don't build a whole lot, though. We only build a few things at a time. So I think the next villager I want to watch is, I think I want to watch the most recent job we added, which is the smith, the toolsmith over here. I would like to see what his daily schedule looks like. Ooh, those things are loud. Those are always very loud. So long as he's actually has stuff to work on. Yeah. Okay, here we go. So let's get more coal stored here. We'll go ahead and up the coal, and everything else is fine. and the tools, again, if this maxes out, they'll be putting it in the other warehouse anyway. So, all right, let's locate him, and we'll go watch him. Simkin. All right, a day in the life of our blacksmith Simkin. Alright, well we'll go ahead and cut his short because it looks like we understand the cycle now. So it looks like they have two rest cycles. They take 2 breaks from work. Again, on one break they do 1 or more of their needs plus free time. The other break they do the other needs plus free time. In his case, he did fish, meat, and service all on one, and then he would do water and rest on the other. So, again, this is interesting. I'm learning about how these folks move around and do their thing. So, my conclusion to put all of these services near their home, I think was the correct conclusion. Because, with the exception of one of the people on one of their breaks that we observed, they do more than one thing, and then before they do their free time, and their free time is mostly spent at home. So yeah, that's good to confirm that was a smart way to do that. If I had seen something like they would take a break for water and then go back to work, and then and that's it, and they would do, I would think about putting like wells around or something. But looks like we're good. Looks like we're good with our setup. Our meat is being produced a little bit better now than it was. Our wool and our cloth seems to be about like it was. I'm not sure why that didn't really change much at all during that situation. Now, one thing I did notice is up here in this labor influence. So if you think about it, we went up to 45, and then we spent 20, back down to 25. This is increasing on its own. So it says, let's see, influence is earned through mandates, missions, and quests. It can be spent to unlock new progression content and new options during events. Okay. It says it will gradually shift toward the influence cap. So I'm wondering, now that our cap is 50, we'll slowly gain it just over time. And then if we're over it, we'll slowly lose it over time. So I'm thinking that if by doing nothing, we're gaining influence. Right? We don't just gain it by things like those fairs and stuff. Or the merchant trades and stuff. So like this one, we have a clergy influence cap of 10. So we've made it up to 10, and then we just sit there at 10. So my conclusion here is that, like, we should just go ahead and spend this if we can, right? So, like, unlock stuff just because we can, right? So now we're down to 2 labor influence, but we should just slowly, that should just slowly start creeping back up to 50, if my understanding of that is correct. So that's pretty neat. That's pretty cool to kind of understand that a little bit. Now, all of these things cost gold. Now, our gold, we increased our treasury, and we're still, like, hovering right at the max. So I'm feeling like we should go ahead and unlock a few things. Let's go ahead and just start buying some of these. Let's see. Okay. So those are some things I think we might need. Well, some of them we don't need, but I think, like, you know, we could make our bridge out of stone. That would be kind of cool. One thing, though, and some nicer decorations, but one thing is wheat. So we could use that wheat, not necessarily, so the same thing as, like we're not feeding berries to our people because we don't have it for sale in a stall. I think our bread, we wouldn't be feeding it to our people. We would be using that to trade. So again, we could use that as another income source, but also this one, you unlock their trade with bread. And then they'll buy bread, and they'll buy bread, right? Which is pretty cool. And then also, like, some of these you can improve, right? So you need bread to improve Northberry's trade route. We're gonna need to amass some polished stone to improve Middle's trade route. Now, we actually do have the 50 tools to improve their trade route. Now, to do that, we need to have a bailiff, which we don't have. But we need to work towards those goals. So I think a wheat farm is something we might look at doing next episode, and try to get that wheat production in place. And that's going to do several buildings. It's going to do, you're going to have to do a wheat barn. Well, I'm sorry, like the actual wheat farm itself. Well, that's the improvements thing. We need the wheat farm itself, which also takes up a lot of land, kind of similar to that sheep farm. We're going to need a windmill to mill that into flour, and then we're going to need a bakery to actually turn that flour and water into bread. So when we make the bakery, we'll put a well right next to the bakery. So that's something that we're going to look into. Of course, all of that is going to require land, which, you know, it's making some of this look pretty good out here. This could become farmland out here. Keep them working close to the homes, you know. Keep everything kind of surrounding this residential area. So perhaps we can look at making this into a farm. Maybe even putting a temporary... well, I was going to say a temporary woodcutter out here to get these trees, but honestly, our wood production is fine. We could just use a builder to clear these trees. But yeah, we could probably look at doing a farm out here next time and getting some of that bread production going, and that could be another income source for us so that we don't have to sell, for example, all of our polished stone. So yeah, we're going to look at that next episode, see if we can probably build an extra house or two, get that wheat production going, and then maybe even get some more these stonemasons in here, and you know, add 2 more stonemasons to this one here, and so that we can start producing more stone to A, make us more money, but then also B, stuff like unlock the trade route and use it for our own buildings. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. This was a little bit of a different one. I kind of enjoyed looking to see what these villagers do every day, and to kind of get a better feel for what their daily cycle is like. Again, I'm not sure if each individual have their own cycle of certain things that they do during each of their 2 breaks. But it seems like the ones that we looked at had a consistent cycle. Like their breaks were always the same. They had 2 different ones, but they would do the same things on each of the 2. I don't know if that is based on the individual or if that's based on the job. Like if both fishermen do the same thing, or if they would be individuals. That doesn't really matter because it does prove what I wanted it to prove. So that's pretty cool. Cool stuff. Good stuff. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this. I thought it was pretty cool, pretty eye-opening, and we did get some of our meat production is looking fantastic now. It's looking a lot better than it was. Our wool does at least seem to be keeping up with our cloth making, so that's good. And we don't have any tools over here yet, but I'm assuming once our tools hit 100 over there, they'll start pulling some of it over here. I'm not sure how to evenly distribute them. I guess I could say like stock maximum and make them bring them over here. That feels a little silly, but yeah, I'm not sure how to make them equally distribute them, but you know, eventually, hopefully, the tools will start making their way back over here, so the builders don't have to go so far. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Again, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I thought this was really fun, and until next time. All right, I'll catch you later. Bye bye.